are now tuned into another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. You already know. And tonight we have the distinct honor and privilege of welcoming CEO, director, producer, and the town's finest, Mr. Michael J. Payton is in the building. How you doing, King?
Yo, I'm doing great, fam. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate the platform, and I'm excited to talk to y'all.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I was pretty pumped up too, man. It's the wine.
Yes, yeah, I got mine.
You know, got the red cup going on, man. And we was talking about that picture behind you before we went live, man.
Yeah,
that's so fucking dope, man.
That's
where you get that from?
Basquiat. It's Amazon. I can't afford the actual. Basquiat. Them things go for like 1.5 million. So I'm like, I'll just get, I'll get a placeholder on my wall so I can actually afford it.
That's coming soon too. It's coming soon. It's coming soon.
From your mouth to God's ears.
You've been putting in the work though, man. Like you've been doing your thing with, especially. Let's start off with C-suite music.
Yes, sir.
When did you start that?
C-suite music, I started in 2016. Just do a little background. I started off as a rapper, right? Like I started off making music from the age I was maybe 12, 13 years old when I first started making records. And it just, I just kept going, grinding, hustling, trying to make moves. Got a couple songs on the radio out here, got a couple little things, but it just, at some point I started to make the transition into making films and directing music videos. Start with me directing my own videos and then start making videos for other artists around the Bay, and just kind of went on from there. So I kind of had this idea in 2016 to kind of transition away from music and start focusing more on developing content, developing films, digital content, all that jazz. So I started in 2016. I built C-suite music. The reason I called it C-suite music is because if anybody knows, like C-suite is corporate slang for like high level, like your chief executive officers, your whatever, your COOs, and then music, right? And then music is culture. Music is vibration. Music is Black people. Absolutely. In my opinion, like that's what moves us. So I'm like, I wanted to put music and hip hop and our culture at the highest level. Like, let's present ourselves at the highest level, not just the BS that you see on the blogs and stuff. Let's like show what we're really doing. So I started off. I made a few little documentaries. I made like just on my own. I made a documentary about Jay-Z, who I think is a fascinating brother who did a lot to break barriers and get through the culture. I did one on Senator Kamala Harris at the time. She wasn't vice president, obviously, at the time, but she was, I think, running for the Senate or something. I just think we need to tell stories like that are different.
That one got you some interesting comments, though. I will say that. Like that one, I watched the Kamala Harris one, and I'm not a fan of hers at all. However, I thought you put her in a really good light. But man, she's a polarizing figure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like, and that's another conversation we can have too, but I feel like regardless of politics or whatever, I feel like there's so many images, right, that go out there to our young Black people, especially like our Black girls and our young Black sisters, right? And I feel like we see the Meg Thee Stallions, the Cardi B's, and the, whatever, but we don't see that. I don't know if we're showing young Black girls and young Black boys that you can be more than just rappers. You can be more than just entertainers. You can be a lawyer. You can be a senator. You can be a doctor, whatever. And I think it's important just to tell those stories. Like if I'm going to tell the Jay-Z story, I got to tell the Kamala Harris story too. And 1,000 other stories like that, So and that one got, as you can see, it got a lot of attention, also got a lot of heat and whatever. But that's kind of the mode and the spirit that I and a couple partners of mine started C-Suite Music, and it's just kind of going on from there. Then it brings us kind of to where we are now. Shortly thereafter, I made another one of these documentary style videos about Irv Gotti and Murder Inc. And
that was dope.
That one just went crazy. Like, there had never been no story, no one who really did a definitive piece on Murder Inc. and Irv and all the stuff that they did in that era. And I just did it. I didn't ask for permission. I didn't get anybody's approval. I just went ahead and just did it. And it kind of blew up online. And long story short, Irv seen it and then asked me to come be a part of his actual making of his documentary. I've been rocking ever since.
So Irv just called you up out the blue, like, hey, I want you to come on and do this for real.
It wasn't really out the blue. It was well, for me, it was out the blue. Just to give a little context on that. So I made this documentary. I was in grad school at the time. I'm from Cali, but I moved to the East Coast to New York to go to school, to go to NYU for grad school. And so I made this whole thing like in my apartment, like the first couple of nights I moved in, and I put it up on YouTube, maybe October. And then in March of the following year, 2019, my mother passed away. And it was, I'm an only. Yeah, thank you, brother.
I've been there too. My mother passed away in 2020. So I know I feel you.
I'm so sorry. That's we're never too old to lose our moms, man. Like we're never ready for that. We're never ready. And it's crazy, right? But
yeah, that sting don't go away.
It doesn't to this day. And it's been almost 3 years now. But and I'm an only child. I'm a mama's boy. I'm proud to say it. Still am. And
I'm not mad at that. Me too.
Yeah, I'm a mama's boy, But so yeah, the doc had came out on, and I dropped in October on YouTube. It was picking up momentum, and people was liking it, sharing it, whatever. But it was just it had been sitting around for like 4 or 5 months. So my mom passes. I fly back from New York to Cali to put my mother away and do all that. And then we had her funeral service. Then the following week we buried her. The day that I buried my mom, I was so just distraught, and you know that feeling, man. Like you're never ready to see him go. You can't. And I said, you know what? I told a couple of my cousins, I said, I gotta just do something to get my mind off of everything. Let's go see the movie Us. The movie Us had just came out that night, and so we all went to the theater. And I'm sitting there, I'm still messed up. I'm like, I'm not in a good space at all, but I'm just trying to push through it. And I'm sitting there, and I pick up my phone, and I'm like, I see my whole timeline just blowing up, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. What's going on? And I read one of the comments, and people are like, yo, Irv Gotti is trying to get in touch with you. Irv Gotti is trying to reach you. You should go on his Instagram page. I'm like, and everything is like a blur to me, because I'm like, okay, they must have buried me with my mom, because this is unreal. This is whatever. And so I go on my page, and lo and behold, it's a whole post of a screenshot of my documentary on Irv Gotti's page. And underneath, he wrote this long caption about, yo, whoever knows this guy, Michael Payton, he did an unauthorized doc on me. And I'm reading, I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna like tell me
it's about to get ugly.
Yeah, but as I'm reading it, he's like, I'm watching it, and it's actually pretty good. And you know what? I want to find this guy, and I want to put him on, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, holy shit! And so somebody's like, and he's like, if you guys know Michael Payton, tell him to reach out to me, blah blah blah. And then of course I just go into his DMs like, yo, I'm Michael Payton, what's up? And we exchanged numbers, and we got to talking the next day. Shortly thereafter, I flew back from Cali directly to meet with Herb in New York. Lived on the East Coast anyway. When I flew back, I just went right to him, and we just started rocking. Like he just started. He was like, "Yo, like I admire your drive and your hunger. Like I want to put you on. I want to give you opportunity to do my real documentary." And at the time, we didn't know it was going to be with BET or whoever it was going to be with. But he was like, I'm going to set it up, and you're going to be the guy that directs it. You're going to produce it, and that was in March of 2019, and here we are today, and we're about to drop this documentary soon on BET.
That's fucking dope. Okay, totally. Okay, slightly connected, I guess. But have you met Ashanti?
Ha!
I had to ask, bro.
I've not met Ashanti yet. I look forward to meeting Ashanti. Ashanti was when I was growing up, man. It was two women that I knew I was going to marry. And I was Alicia Keys and Ashanti. And
Understood.
you know what I mean? But now, I'm older and she's a beautiful lady. I got a lady of my own right now, but Ashanti is still. I'm still a big fan of her music, and she's just done so much great work and really paved the way for so many female artists. People don't know Ashanti was like really the first big Black female artist of the new millennium. Like Aaliyah had just passed away. Beyonce hadn't quite hit on a solo level. And Ashanti she came out and sold like ridiculous amounts of records. She was like America's sweetheart, and she was huge. And so I think people forget how big Ashanti was and still is. People still love Ashanti, and I'm looking forward to meeting him.
I mean, well, like, first off, I think that Murder Inc. story being told is long overdue. Unfortunately, they ran into 50, and he just overshadowed. Like, I went to see Ja Rule live, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Ja Rule until I saw him perform, and your man's is phenomenal. Like, I left that show. It's two artists over my lifetime that totally blew me out the way unexpectedly. He was one of them. MC Hammer was the other.
Hammer. Shout out to Hammer.
Yo, Hammer's show, fucking ridiculous. It's a circus, bro. It's like a circus in a great way.
That's what I heard.
Oh my! And when he was like at the high, and Hammer, like everybody hated Hammer. Like everybody hated him, but loved Hammer. Yeah. Well, we talked all type of shit about him.
Yeah.
But when I went to go see him perform, bro, like it changed my absolute perspective, not only on him, but hip hop going forward.
Yeah.
Murder Inc. What was the part about Murder Inc. that surprised you the most?
That surprised me the most? I can't say I was really surprised. It's more about being inspired. Like that's part of the reason why I took on wanting to do this story on my own, right? Is because I grew up, even though I grew up a Bay Area kid and proud Bay Area, proud California kid, I was enamored by the whole East Coast, Def Jam, Rockefeller, Murder Inc., Bad Boy, that whole thing. I was like, it just felt like another world to me. It just felt like these guys were getting so much money. They were riding around in like, listen, I love my Bay Area, Oakland folks, but we was riding around in, scrapers and going dumb and that's dope. But they were riding around in like Bentleys and Maybachs and like just this whole nother level of luxury, a whole nother level of Black excellence. I was like, that shit is dope. Like that always just inspired me. So I was always just enamored by this idea, like these kids from the street, like these brothers from nothing. Like literally, these guys don't come from no form. They didn't have no MBAs. They didn't have no formal training, none of that stuff. They just were raw talent, and here they are with hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in responsibilities and in assets and things that they're creating with just this hip hop culture. So Irv Gotti and Murder Inc. was always one of those stories I was just fascinated by. Just like how did like these dudes from Queens like just take nothing, literally nothing. Like Irv, again, no college degrees, no none of that stuff that they tell you need to do and to be successful in America. And they just went. They just went hard, and they believed in themselves, and Irv believed in himself and his artists. And it was, here they are in the boardrooms and in corporate America taking shit over. So that's what I would say inspired me, and I guess surprised, if you will, just because of the sheer fact that these guys just come from nothing. But that's what drew me to the story, and that's what continues to draw me to the story. And I'm hoping that people feel that when we do put this thing out, that people feel that passion, that inspiration that I felt that made me want to even do this story, because it's a lot. It's a lot to it.
I'm surprised they didn't want to do a movie.
Oh, the movie's coming. The movie's coming. Don't worry about that. The movie is coming.
Yo, because people don't realize, like, they beat the feds, and that's like a 1% shot. Like, and I don't give a shit how much money you got, what you look like. The feds 99% of the time lock niggas up.
No, not 1% shot. At the time when they were being indicted, there was a 99.8% chance. Conviction rate on the feds at that time at a federal level. So they had like a 0.2% chance of beating the feds. This is why most people make plea deals, and most people don't, you know what I mean? Because you're just not going to beat the federal government. It's the United States government. It's the FBI. How the hell are you going to beat the government? But they really believe, they knew they were innocent. They believed in their innocence. They just kept like, yo, we're not going to go down for something that we didn't do, and we ain't, and that's honorable, man. That's some level of courage and integrity that we missing big time in our culture today. Big time.
They don't get enough respect for that, because a lot of people in their shoes would have lied on Preem, whether they knew shit or not, to get their ass out of sling.
Facts.
So I got it. I learned some shit in your documentary that I was like, okay, man, like, I'm looking forward to it. When is it dropping?
We're hoping it comes mid this year. We ain't giving an exact date yet, but mid 2020 it'll be on your streaming devices and in your living rooms. And
so what's the difference between a producer and a director?
So a director, I mean, in my case, it's all merged into one, because I'm just doing a lot. But a producer puts pieces together. A producer kind of helps. In theory, a producer kind of helps to, like, the director has a vision, and the producer kind of helps bring things together, right? Okay. So I'm in this role. I'm pretty much both director and producer, and I got an incredible team of folks I'm working with over at Visionary and BET, just an incredibly talented group of people. But in my role, I'm both the visionary and one of the producers. One of the people who are going out, and I'm doing a lot of the interviews. I'm collecting a lot of these stories and just helping to piece things together. So it's really in my case, it's kind of hard to distinguish which is which, but I'm playing both roles. I have both hats on this time.
And how hands-on has Irv been?
Irv is, I mean, in this situation, listen, this is a documentary about Murder Inc. And he even when he brought me in from the beginning, he was like, I want you to tell my story, like, and he's like, the reason why it was so good because he didn't know me. He didn't know me from anybody. Like, and I did the documentary, and I was pretty unbiased. I was pretty straight down the middle, right? And he liked that. He doesn't want someone to tell the story of Murder Inc. who's going to be biased on one side or the other. He was like if he were to get like a Hype Williams or a Benny Boom or someone who he's been rocking with for so long to do his doc, they were going to be biased because they all know him. And over the years, I've grown to know and love and appreciate Irv on a personal level. But at the end of the day, I am focused on telling the Murder Inc. story. This is not the Irv Gotti story. This is the Murder Inc. story. And obviously, Irv plays a central role in this whole story. But there's so many things that go on around that went on into making this label. There was, people don't remember that It's Jay-Z, DMX. They played a role in the birth of Murdering.
Yeah.
People don't know that, the Ashanti story and Ja Rule and Lloyd, and there's so many other people that came along that it's not just one individual. It's a whole collective of folks. So I would say, just to answer your question, Irv has been pretty hands off in terms of like, he's not saying you don't do this, don't tell this. He's like, I trust you that you're gonna tell the story in the way that needs to be told.
So what's after this?
Oh man, right now I'm dead focused on Murdering documentary, but we got a few other projects in the works. I have a little project I'm working on right now with it's not little, but I have a project I'm working on with Supreme.
That's fire.
And Mike Tyson. It's called the Mundane Truth. That's a whole nother conversation.
Me.
Yeah,
Mike scares me.
Oh, Mike is. Listen, I met Mike. Mike is. Listen, I'm 6'2". I'm not a small guy, and Mike is a little bit shorter than me. But Mike he's not a joke. Mike is intimidating, man. Mike is not he's not a joke, man.
I've seen some of his interviews, and I don't think I would go on his show, man. No. I'm sorry. I would love to hang out with him, but I really don't want to hang out with Mike. Like, I don't want him to like revert to the pissed off Mike.
Right.
Because I'm running. I'm out of there.
I'm about a man who used to wrestle and train with like tigers and shit. I'm cool.
Oh my God.
I'm
man.
all right.
We need, not to beat a dead horse, but we need the Hammer documentary, bro.
Oh man, who you telling?
Like, I've heard bits and pieces over the years. And they say your man's is a goon, which is intriguing.
He is. Hammer is not a joke. People think that Hammer is like some, because he did the dance, he had the pants and all that stuff. No, Hammer is not no joke. Hammer was a real guy. Hammer was a real, like, he was really from the town. Like, people forget that. Like, he was really for those who don't know, the town is a slang for Oakland, but he's really about it. So yeah, that documentary needs to be. We need to do that.
There's a guy,
and I'm not
going to say his name, but there's a guy that's really cool with him. Remind me, and I'll try to tap you in with him, and maybe we can kind of work that. Because I've been wanting to interview the guy but he doesn't do interviews.
No, Hammer he's cool. He's chilling. He ain't tripping off this media shit no more. I don't blame him.
He is inspirational, and I think he undervalues his contribution to the culture.
Yes. I think people undervalue Hammer's contribution. I think people just forget that there was no big pop rap superstar before Hammer.
No.
Like, Hammer
niggas wasn't doing Pepsi commercials and shit until Hammer.
No,
he got slammed for that.
I remember Hammer had a action figure, and I remember I just always wanted his action figure. I'm like, I never could get it. One of my cousins had it, and I was always so jealous. I'm like, I can't get to that. But you had an action figure. You had Pepsi commercials. He was the guy. He was the guy before, before all the gangster rap bullshit took off. He was that dude. He was that dude. And he was from the town.
Yes, and then Diddy did exactly the same shit that he did, but he made it cool to be able to do it.
Yes. Absolutely. Puff. That's one of the things I talk about too. Like, that, people don't know that is actually a big reason why Murder Inc. kind of, or Irv Gotti and like DMX, when they launched his career, it was to be the opposite of the puffy and the shiny suit. It was like, at the time, everything was puffy, shiny suits, Mace, Bad Boy, R&B records, and rapping kind of got a little bit soft. And then so here comes Irv on the scene with DMX, and Rough Riders and DNY and all them had DMX, but Irv kind of helped propel X on the scene on the mainstream level, and it was like let's take it back to the streets, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like that was the
Man,
first line of Rex's first single. And it's like, that and that's what kind of changed the game and put Herb on the map on a whole different level.
DMX
X
was a fucking alien. Rest in peace to that king. Because
Rest in
that
peace,
dude,
King.
that 1 year may go down in history as he may go down as the most accomplished in 1 year for a hip hop artist ever.
He's the first rapper I think ever to come out twice in 1 year, and both albums sold like over 5 million records or something like that. It's ridiculous.
They both went number one, if I remember correct.
Yeah, crazy.
So going back to you rapping, what was your rap name?
Payton.
That's it.
That's it. I never could think of no creative. It was just first it was like Payton. I always wanted like a cool man because I need a drink. Oh no.
Excuse me.
I stopped because truthfully, I spent so long trying to break into the game, right? And I was always like a fan of like lyricists. Like I'm a Nas guy. Jay is my favorite rapper of all time. I'm a Jay-Z guy. I like music that says something, right? I like music that touches people, and I always wanted to be that kind of artist. And I was just hitting a lot of walls. I was just hitting a lot of brick walls, creatively, and just I couldn't break through, right? Doing like the type of music that I was the lyrical, spiritual, miracle type of guy, right? And I was that was that guy, and I always wanted to make music that kind of had like a message, not necessarily like a preachy type of conscience rap, but just something
like the hieroglyphics.
Kind of, but I would say I was looking back now. It's probably more along the lines of like a J. Cole or like a really bad version of Kendrick. Like like that was the type of like I like to experiment like with sounds, and I just wanted but whatever. So I kept hitting brick walls. I remember I would be performing at shows, and like people would be doing like the type of turn up music, and it would be like everyone's going crazy, and I come up and perform my shit, my J. Cole type of shit, and people would just stand there like they nodding their heads, but it's like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. So I was like, man, fuck that, man. I'm not doing this no more. I'm gonna do what it takes for me to get on, because I just needed at some point, as an artist, you want to get on the radio, you want to get bookings for shows, and and at the time, I was going to a lot of parties, in college, and just kind of seeing what people were vibing and reacting to. So I made a couple of records that were really along that line. And I made this one record. I won't even say it because I don't want people to look it up. But I made this one record, and like it was a vibe. It was a turn up record. It was a party record. And mind you, I was the type of rapper. I never used the word bitch. I never like to I'm not the type of guy to try to like degrade women, and like that's never was my thing. But I was just on some fuck it. I'm gonna just say whatever. I'm gonna say whatever I feel. This is what people want. And I just said the most outlandish shit in this song, and the song went. Like it actually went. Like it didn't go like national, but like it went for a little bit. Like I got picked up on the radio. People were calling, requesting it. I was getting labels reaching out to me and all kind of shit. And it was kind of dope. I was like, oh shit, it's my first real hit. I'm like, but then I remember I saw some kids making, this is like right at the start, like Instagram, when people start making videos to your song. And I saw some kids, and they were like young girls, and they were like twerking to my song. And it just something didn't sit well with me. Like it just did not. I was like, at the time I was in college. I was like, I'm raised by a good mom. Like I'm not that guy at all. I'm not the type of guy. I'm not in the club making it rain. I'm not like, that's just like not my thing. And I'm like, damn, man, I could be saying something or doing something to inspire these kids, and they're listening to me saying, you know, turn up, bitch, or whatever. I don't even remember the lyrics no more. But it was like, and I'm just seeing these like kids, and they're like kids. They're like, it has to be no more than 14, 15. They're twerking to my songs, and I didn't like quit after that, but it kind of turned me off from the whole thing. I was like, you know what? I can be doing something. Like, if this is what it takes for me to make it in this business,
want that.
I just don't want
Not that way.
I don't know if not that way. Like if I can't break into this business and be like a Kendrick level or like a Cole level artist, and listen, I'm sure if I would have kept pushing it, I probably could have, but at some point it was just becoming too much. Like being an artist is very costly, it's just a lot, it's a lot. And I have more gifts than just music. And music is always in my DNA. It's in my DNA. I'm always going to love music. I'm not saying I won't make records again, but as far as being a career, I'm like, nah, I don't want it that way. Who knows?
I mean,
who knows if I don't circle back one day and just put out a record and
you should, bro.
Who knows? Like, who knows?
I mean,
but
because Kendrick and J. Cole had the benefit of the internet. So they were able to be who they were,
right,
and find like-minded individuals without having to go out physically and search for them.
Right.
So that was like, because before that, like if you weren't on the East Coast and you weren't like part of the native tongues or like for the town, like Delta Funky, Homo Sapien, and that whole camp, you had to be kind of like clicked up with one or the other. Anybody in between was gonna find it extremely hard to really stay who you were. And
hard, yeah, it's hard. And I didn't have those kind of connections at the time. I felt like being in the Bay Area, and I love the Bay. We're very independent minded. We're very we march to the beat of our own drum, right? I'll remember where I go. I'll always bring that kind of Bay Area. I live in LA right now, but that same mentality is with me right now. But the Bay is just not that. Like the Bay is not that. The Bay ain't LA or New York in a way that you're gonna get connected to guys who are at Universal or Def Jam or people who it's just a different culture. And very true at the time, the internet was there, but the industry was still very much about who do you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. And the other thing was that, truthfully, if you can't find if you don't have your own voice that you can stand on and say this is what I am and who I am, then you probably you don't need to be on that mic. Like, and that's just and at some point I was kind of struggling to find out who in the fuck is Michael, like is M. Payton. Like, is he the turn up party rapper guy? Is he the deep into? I mean, you can be both. You can be both if that's really who you are. But at some point, if you're just doing things just because you're trying to make it in the business and not actually being passionate about the music that you're making or the content that you're making, it's time to step back and find other ways to
I agree with you on that one.
Creativity.
So your boy Jigga, is he right? Can he be beaten the verses? I got somebody that I know for a fact could beat him.
Shout out to
it ain't a rapper though.
The only person
Mary J. Blige would wash Jay-Z.
Nah.
And I've said this publicly, like, and people are like, well, she's not a rapper. It doesn't have to be a rapper to me.
I saw somebody say the only person that can beat Jay is Beyonce. That's funny. Probably not wrong. It's probably not wrong. I mean, B is hard, but I'll be honest with you, ain't nobody. When it comes to rap, at least if we start going outside the genre, we can have that conversation. But when it comes to rap, ain't nobody touching Jigga on the mic. Ain't nobody touching Jigga on that versus stage. Nah.
Drake or Weezy. And Drake actually probably wins.
No.
Because he's just more. He's been killing the game for the last decade.
He has, and I'm a big Drake fan. I love Drake. Like, Drake is, I think, probably the artist of this last decade. And when it comes to rap, like, he is just,
no doubt,
he has done something even Jay hasn't done. No one has done 10 years straight. I mean, he is I mean, even people want to say like the 96 Bull, even the Bulls didn't have this kind of run. The Warriors ain't had this kind of run. Nobody's had this kind of run ever. The Cowboys, we'll talk about that later, but the Cowboys didn't have this kind of run. You know, like no one's had this kind of run ever, right?
And Tom Brady would be comparable.
Tom Brady, you're right. You're right. Maybe Tom Brady may be the only person that's actually comparable to Drake's run. That's it. That's. But Drake is So all that being said, still no one is touching Jay. If it's on a song for song, especially if they're standing on stage and they have to kind of perform.
It depends on where the stage is at. If they're in New York, I have to give it to Jigga. Anywhere else?
Put it in Kansas. You can put the show in Kansas. You can put it
in Kansas, and Jay-Z loses badly to Drake.
Nah, I'm telling you. Have you seen Jay perform live?
Not like I went and bought a ticket and went, but I've seen him on TV live.
I've went to Jay's concerts, and he stands in one spot, and everyone always used to get at Jay. He stands in one spot. He stands in one spot, but he just has a command over the audience that you can't. I mean, especially now, he's just gotten. At first, Jay was okay. He was an okay performer, like in the 90s and whatever. But as he's matured into he knows the records that works.
Yeah,
he knows, and it doesn't matter. I've seen him perform on TV, at least like in front of German audiences, white audiences, black audiences. It doesn't matter. Like he shuts that shit. If you watch the Jay-Z and Beyonce on the Run tour show on BET, I mean, sorry, on HBO, and I love B, and but he killed that shit. Like, I'm not saying she didn't hold her own. Clearly, it's Beyonce, but it's something about Jay that's just like he brings you into those records. And Drake is a good performer. Drake has also gotten better, but Drake, I don't know, man. And I could just be completely biased, but I just really feel like I have to say I agree with Jay that ain't nobody touching him on that stage.
He's supposed to say that, though. I will give him that. You're supposed to say that. Like, I don't want no artist to be like, well,
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I probably will lose to so and so, even though realistically, when you go home and you look in the mirror, you know you're not beating X, Y, or Z.
Right.
But I don't want to hear that shit publicly.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear basketball players say, I'm okay, but if I play against so and so, he's gonna drop 50 on me. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't care how trash you are.
But Jay actually Jay has the benefit of actually, in my opinion, being right. Like I think you can put him on stage with anybody. You can put him on stage with Madonna. You can put him on stage with anybody. I think you're not touching him on that versus stage. I just don't think you are.
Madonna.
But I'm
she was dope in the 80s.
Right. I'm just saying Madonna. I'm like whoever. Like put him against anybody. Like I've had people tell me they went to the Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake tour that they did a few years back, and it's like Jay shut that shit down, and like people almost didn't even realize Justin Timberlake was there. Like
that one I can kind of get though. I can understand that one.
Justin's a good performer. Justin's my guy.
But I don't see him taking like Jay-Z's audience is going to travel. And his audience, to me, in my opinion, is going to travel way more than Justin Timberlake's.
Really? Justin Timberlake was in sync. Justin Timberlake was one of the biggest, is still one of the biggest artists like ever. Like he's a performer. He sings, he dances, he plays the guitar, he puts on a show. JT puts on a show.
He lost black folks though after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did lose us a little bit.
And like in the lane he's in, if you ain't got niggas, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
So I can absolutely see that one.
I still enjoy it. I think he makes some really funky music. I enjoy it. But yeah, you're right. A lot of folks did.
Yes, it is. I give you $100 million budget to make a movie. What's the movie you make?
Oh shit. Damn. That's a good question. I say this. I've always I don't want to say. I gotta be careful what I say because people might out here selling ideas and shit. But I've always been fascinated with like, why does every black movie have to be like a race movie, or have to be like you know, it has to talk about, like, especially we're talking about like these old, like these movies that kind of touch on these period pieces, like you know, like
where's our generation's Boomerang? Well, this generation's Boomerang.
but like when you look at movies like The Help or The Butler or 12 Years a Slave, or even like what's the one movie when they're talking about going to all the sisters help get the rocket?
Oh, NASA. I can't remember the name of the movie.
You
Although
know,
I did enjoy that movie though.
Yeah, great movie. But it's like all these pieces, and particularly these period pieces, have to do with like race and overcoming race. Like, what about just like what was black folks just doing back then? Who just, not that everyone I know was like focused on the movement and focused on black people getting their, but like what was like just a cool like romantic story, or a cool like coming of age story about like a bunch of black kids going to a HBCU or something like that. And it didn't, we don't, the moral of the story is not race. It's not like, oh, let's overcome Jim Crow. I mean, maybe that's in there, but the base of the story, it's just life. Like, I like her and he likes me, and I failed this test, and I did, like, if I had $100 million to make a movie, I would probably do something along that line where it's just like black. Like, the one thing I like really, really enjoyed about the show Insecure that you know Issa Rae did, I think it's a phenomenal show, and it's, you know, I think what I enjoyed the most about it is just you have black folks just being like not the superhero, not the magical Negro, not the magical sister. It's just like
black
regular ass
existing.
Just existing. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do.
Bruh's a barber. Bruh works in tech. She's a struggling entrepreneur. Like, whatever. And they just existing. They're like, they're not, oh, they didn't, nobody raps except for Issa when she raps in the mirror. But like nobody's like trying to be a rapper, or nobody's trying to be like, it's not like a big, you know, oh, this
it's
guy.
Not a cliche-a-thon.
Yeah, it's not cliche. It's also just not like I feel like in society, and oftentimes black folks have to be like more, so much more than their counterparts just to get the basics. Like, you know, Chris Rock had this great routine on his stand-up. He was like, you know, me and Mary J. Blige live on the same block, but you know, it's like an expensive neighborhood, and everyone else in my neighborhood is doctors and dentists. And he's like, you know what the average black person would have to do to live in my neighborhood? They would have to invent teeth. You know, it's like, and he does it better than me. You know, it's real though. It's like you can't just be like Jay, for example. Jay, clearly there's like some brilliance there. There clearly was some brilliance there from way back, but because of circumstances, he ended up going in the streets, and he could have been there before the grace of God that he ended up where he is today. But imagine if he just was like, you know, like if he had the same opportunities as like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, he would probably be the guy making Tesla, or he would probably be the guy who invented the chip. Well, you know, it's like we have genius in our community. We have all these things, but sometimes in order for us to make it, you have to be Jay-Z. You have to be, you know, Irv Gotti. You have to be this person who is like just a magical Negro, if you will, like who can leap buildings with a single bound. Like, and what I enjoyed about the Insecure show, and what I would be interested in doing if and I'm not really like a film, like I mean, I'm sorry, I love film, but I'm not really, I'm definitely more of a documentary type of guy. Okay. Like I'm definitely interested in making like documentaries, not necessarily the more traditional like scripted films, but if I were to make a film, it would probably be something along that line, just because it's time for to show Black folks, and just I hate to say it, but like in a mundane way, like Black folks can just be regular,
I
like
completely get it. Like I would love to see Black Wall Street, and it
yeah,
doesn't have to be Black Wall Street per se.
right,
It's
right,
just what happened in Black Wall Street. You know, the
yeah,
day to day, I'm going to the cleaners. It's Black folks
yeah,
that run the
yeah,
cleaners. You know, I'm
absolutely,
going to the pharmacist. It's a brother. You know, and it
right,
doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to the Black pharmacist. No, I'm just
right,
going to pick up some
right,
medicine. You
right,
know, it. So I absolutely get what you're saying, and that would be. Although you know, like everything has its place. I love the period pieces. I love to learn about
yeah.
us. Like I think what is that? Operation Move was that the name of it in Baltimore where they blew up the whole block?
Yeah,
Not in
very well put.
Baltimore, I mean Boston, I believe.
Yeah,
Like I would like to see a movie about that just because I don't know much about it. I don't think this
right.
generation even recognizes that this government literally bombed a community in their lifetime or in
Yeah,
their parents' lifetime. You know, because I remember that shit. Like these niggas
right,
actually just blew up a whole block and got
right,
away with the shit.
right.
Shit was fucking ridiculous. But yeah, I would love to see just, you know, like there's been some movies over the years. So I'm like, the one with Del Rey was what's old boy's name? Del Rey Linden. Is that his name?
Yeah,
The tall brother.
uh, I know what you're talking
He-
about. I can't think of it.
the
Yeah,
movie where his wife died. Can't remember the name of
right.
that movie, but that was just a really good movie about shit happening to Black folks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. You've done a lot of
yeah.
documentaries too, man. Like, and it seemed like you stopped last year. What happened?
Um, well, I've been dead focused on building this Murder Inc. documentary. This is
Uh,
the Murder Inc. documentary. The Murder Inc. world is a big world. It's not just, you know, it's not just like Irv Gotti and Ja Rule and Ashanti. It's a big world. It's like building out the Avengers. You know, it's like building out like
mm,
that type of level of characters. And so we've just been spending the last 2 years really developing this thing, really trying to build this
mm,
thing out and make it the best, documentary series that we can possibly make it. And our partners at BT have been just incredibly supportive and helpful, and really pushing us to make this thing the best that we can make it, because it's an incredible story and it needs to be told right. So that's really why you haven't seen any like new of my own like aside pieces really coming out, because I'm just really dead focused on this. And I have done some other things, like one of the things that I also do or want to do is kind of use film or use like media as a way to kind of bridge communication between those in power and those who don't necessarily have the power, those with
mm,
resources and those who don't. And
yeah.
I've worked at a local level, state level, and a little bit of national level with like government and politics, and it's a messed up, screwed up thing. And
Man.
but the thing is that we as a community have to still get these resources, because we are taxpayers, we are citizens, we are people who contribute to the society, and we deserve to get the resources and get things from our government or things from our society that we deserve.
Absolutely.
So
Facts.
one of the things I've spent over the last year and a half doing is I've been working with, I had worked with like the state of California on like doing these interesting like documentary pieces. And honestly, the state and the governor's office has been extremely like really open and letting me go in as a filmmaker and just tell these stories. Like
Mm,
they, let me go into communities of color, tribal communities, um, Black folks, Asian folks, whoever, and just talk straight about like why people don't trust the government.
mm.
Like, and I did a whole documentary series um, around that, last year,
That's
and the
dope.
governor's office actually put it out, the governor of California. So like shit like that is like things that I think is helpful. Like being able to speak truth to power, using this content, using this media platform to be able to give my community and not just my community, but all communities who are out here trying to like have their voices heard and be a part of this thing called America, like have their voices heard and speak truth to power. And that's probably one of the most that project that I did was probably one of the most stimulating things I've ever done. You know, just getting out there, being able to go out there and talk to real people, get people to tell their stories, share their stories with me, and knowing that these stories are going to go to the highest levels at least in our state, and people are listening. Like, you know, is it going to change anything? TBT, you know, or TBD, we'll see. But at least have an opportunity to be.
No, I got to cut you off, bro. You already changed something.
Oh man.
Like, give yourself. We got to learn how to give ourselves our own flowers,
man.
And the fact that you conceptualized that and brought that to fruition is a change, bro.
Man.
So if don't nobody else tell you, man, I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that, brother. For real.
No doubt. And I got to put it out there, man. I butchered the man's name on the flyer. It was completely my fault. I take ownership and responsibility for this shit. So I want to publicly apologize.
Although now that I look back at it, I'm like, yo, you was asking me what my rap name was. I'm like, that would have been a dope ass rap name. Michael J. Payne. How dope is that, right?
Got a rapper. It's RJ Payne.
That's dope. Now.
Yeah,
that's dope. That's dope. Michael Payne. Too. Yeah. Somebody called me Michael Payment. I'm like, that's a fucking great name too.
that is a dope name right there.
Dope,
I would rock with that. Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you have like interns?
Do I have interns?
Like if somebody wants to, they're in film school now. They wanna hook up with you, link up, and learn from you.
No, but I'm definitely very open and interested in bringing people in and talking to young people. I go back to my schools often because I'm a graduate. I got my BA from San Francisco State University here in Cali, and I got my master's degree from NYU. And so every year I try to make time to go up. Well, during the pandemic, it's been virtual. But I try to make space to like talk to the students and answer their questions and give them any kind of resources or help that I can offer them. And I'm definitely open to like at some point bringing in some interns, bringing in some young people to help mentor them in this space. And absolutely, like, and if anybody out there is listening, feel free to reach out to me. We'll put my information out there, and y'all can get in touch with me and reach out, and I'm always happy to try to build up the next generation because shit, I'm getting up there now, man. I need to make sure I'm passing this information down to the next.
And and that's interesting because what I was gonna say is when you decide you want to do a documentary on old black guys trying to give out a little wisdom, hit me up.
I'll be right there.
That's something that's actually something that I've thought about over the years. Is we don't have enough personal time capsules.
No.
And I don't think that our generation is seeing goofy shit like Jim Jones kissing his mama.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we passing on to the next generation. Like, and no disrespect to that. Well, yes, actually I take that back because that's just disgusting. Ain't no way around that. But that's not something that my generation needs to be tagged for passing to the next generation. It's got to be, if we're gonna have that, we got to have a counter to that. And I don't see enough of old black dudes sitting around talking about how to be better than them.
That's real. That's actually real. We and I would say definitely in our hip hop culture, we get to a space where if you're past 30, if you're past 35, you're damn near a dinosaur. And people are now starting to call me OG. I just had my
that first OG or that first unk kind of hurt too.
It hurts, man. I had my cousin he's like 20 and he had a bunch of his friends come out to my house and we just all had a good time or whatever. But he was, it was like 4 or 5 of his boys and they're all 19, 20, and they're just like the way they was like they would like go out like, oh, we about to go hit the club or hit the whatever we're about to do, and be like, and I was kind of waiting for them to give me an invite, like I'm coming too. You're like, yeah,
No, you ain't,
come.
bro.
Yeah. It's like 30 you. So I'm already like, so my point is though, in our culture, I feel like we don't respect enough our elders and people, like, because I also don't think a lot of us don't get that old, man. Like, unfortunately, a lot of us, we get to a certain point, and whether it's drugs or violence in the streets or prison, we just don't see a lot of our brothers getting old, and that's a beautiful thing. It's not no, oh, you are OG, oh, you, it's not that, and we need to listen to that, the wisdom and the experience that comes from brothers who have gotten, who in their 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, because that's, I mean, I cannot wait. I tell you right here, I'm gonna declare on your show right now, I cannot wait to turn 40. I cannot wait. I'm waiting on, like how some people wait to turn 21 and go, I cannot wait, because everyone says when you turn 40, it's like you're past the bullshit. You're now, you're not questioning yourself no more. You're not questioning. You don't care nobody else thinks about you. I can't wait to get to that space.
I don't know who
I'm just
told you that bullshit, bro, but it gets worse.
Oh shit!
It gets worse, and I'm gonna tell you. Shit. And I'm gonna tell you. Well, it gets worse physically. That's when, like, once you hit 40 as a man, and your body is not the same. Like, you can't beat that 20-year-old kid on the court. Unless, like, he's just absolute trash. You not about to win no race against a 15-year-old. So you start questioning your mortality.
Yeah.
And then when you lose your parents or your parent, you start seeing yourself in that coffin. So the mental aspect, as far as paying bills, as far as making decisions, those things you don't question. But yeah, it's a little bit of both. Yeah. And I don't think we like, I've had surgery before, heart surgery a couple of years ago.
Man,
somebody talked to I had intended on dying of cancer at 60, 65, and I was cool with that because I smoked. So in my mind, I convinced myself, that's a decent way to go out. I got to go out anyway. I'm going to live my life. Well, it don't work out the way you want to.
No,
and then when you find yourself laid up with fucking tubes in your chest and in your nose and in your dick,
shit,
you got regrets.
Yeah.
So like I was telling you earlier, man, like take care of your vessel now.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's really hard to undo some shit. When your liver goes, your liver is gone. Your kidneys go. Yes, you can get transplants. Don't get me wrong. But they don't tell you that transplant is a full-time job after getting the organ.
No, I know people who go through that.
So
no, that's the message we need to put out to all of our people. Like, take care of your bodies, man. My mother was 60 years old when she passed away, and you could not tell me she wasn't. I mean, she was skinny, she was thin, she was always up and active and vibrant, but she smoked, right? She smoked, and I don't think she took enough care of herself, like to go to the doctor. She was so busy raising me. She was so busy trying to raise, her family and her nieces and nephews and taking care of that she thought about everybody else but herself. And it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to think about your health and think about, hey, I need to, forget this job. Let me take an hour out of my day and go work out. Forget this, whatever. I don't care if my friends are all out going out to this restaurant. I'm gonna order the salad and let them eat the beef or whatever. Like, you gotta take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. Like, that's It's the only thing that you got. You're not getting another shot. Like, you're just not. Like, unless if there's reincarnation, cool. But as far as we know, all we got is one shot. So take care of your body, and that's
and I don't remember shit. If I've been here before, I don't remember the last time.
Right.
And I hope I was, I would like to, if I'm gonna be reincarnated, like what's the point of being reincarnated if I can't remember the shit from the last body?
Right.
I want to be a better version. Like I don't want to come back and be the same dumbass that I was before.
Exactly.
Like how many lives I need to fuck over before I can remember something.
Right.
Anyway,
Facts.
man, this has been a dope ass conversation, man. It's been an honor and a privilege, man. I've enjoyed this.
Me too, man. I really enjoyed it. And I appreciate you. And anytime, I would love to come back. I would love to come back if you would have me.
Well, you know, after the shit blows up, I'm not gonna be able to get in contact with a brother. You know,
not true, man.
how that
It's
shit
not
gonna
true.
be. I'm gonna be watching you get awards and shit. I like to thank so and so and so and so, and I'm calling like, hey, bro, no, the number you have reached has been disconnected.
No, man, it's all love. I'm telling you, when we drop the doc, I'll be back on. That's my promise to you.
Hey, that would be dope, man. God willing, I will be here and we'll have another dope ass conversation. Only,
Yes, sir.
you know, you'll have the real whatchamacallit behind you.
Yes, the real Basquiat. The real Basquiat.
Actually, you know what? Like I would just keep that one.
You know, I mean, $29.99 wasn't bad. Wasn't a bad deal.
Hey, and because you're a celebrity now, that $29.99 is actually worth more because you own it.
Right? It's going 100 times. It's going quad whatever that number is.
Yeah, because I've seen some ugly ass art that's worth a shitload of money because so and so bought it.
Somebody bought it. It's for real.
Like, what was my man named Andy Warhol? This motherfucker put a toilet in a museum. Oh my god, this is earth shattering. He's got a toilet. Did you see that, bro? It's a fucking toilet.
He sat on it. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Anyway, man. On that note, man, you have a phenomenal. I see nothing but greatness in your future.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
The Will Smith one was really,
thank you,
really
man.
Dope.
Thank you. That might be one of my. I think after the Irv one, that might be my favorite one I've done. Man, Will, if you're out there listening, man, let's call me, man. Call me. I want to do something.
Yo, have you? Well, you've watched his damn, what National Geographic.
I haven't watched it yet. I want to watch it though. It looks phenomenal.
Yo, I watched the episode and this dude went into a volcano.
Holy shit. That's Will, man. Will
with a blind dude. I shit you not. It was him, a blind dude, and another dude. And the blind dude, like, it wasn't like he was a blind dude that had the guide. He was like walking around. Like, it was crazy, but it was. I'm proud of Will Smith, man. Outside of the weird shit, man.
I got my Disney Plus subscription. I'm going to watch that tonight. I'm watching that tonight.
Gotta check it out, man. Like I've been a fan of Will Smith since Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Very underrated MC, by the way.
People don't realize that Will, and I know you got to go, but I got to say this. Will is, I mean, he broke so many barriers. I just don't think he gets to, I know people all know Will's big, but I don't think we really, really appreciate what Will has contributed across the art, across just from building his family to the personal, evolution that he's gone through too. Like, it's just, I've never seen anything like that. And I don't think we ever will again. That's why I did his story. That's why I did his story too, because his story, he's just like, how could you not be inspired by that? Even if you a hater, how could you not be inspired by that? Like, it's incredible.
He needs his own movie.
Yeah. He needs his own movie.
Yes, I didn't know he went bankrupt and that the feds came and repoed this shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
People need to know that, like, that level of bounce back is damn near unparalleled.
Unparalleled.
Because he didn't just bounce back; he came back and became the biggest motherfucker on the planet.
Ever. One of the big. I'm gonna light myself up a second.
Yeah,
but yeah, he became one of the biggest of all time. I mean, big.
Absolutely.
Huge.
Yeah.
So
icon.
Shout out to Will, man. Love you, Will.
Shout out to Will Smith, man. And shout out to you, man, for putting those documentaries together. And please do not quit. We need that information.
We're not gonna stop.
And tell Herb I said what's up. Hit me up.
Absolutely.
Hey, when you do the one with Preem, man, please get that brother on the show.
Preem is a character, man. Preem is that's another one of those things. Like, I can't believe I'm sitting here, I'm talking to Preem and I'm helping him do his story. Like, that's just, say what you want about, I'm a hip hop guy, and I've always just, you hear so many people with Preem and his lyrics and their lyrics and the mystique of Preem, and he's all that. Preem is really that guy, even though he's unfortunately he's down, he's locked up, but he's that guy. He's really just that guy, and he's somebody who really tried. He did some wrong in his early years, but that's kind of what the system has set up for us to do. And he got out and tried to make it right, and that same system pulled him right back in. But he's got just an incredible story too that I think people need to hear.
Yeah, I got a chance to interview Freeway Ricky Ross.
Oh man. That guy.
Man. And we've talked about, what did he say the biggest drug deal he did was like, was it $1.3 million for one deal?
Good God.
Oh my God, man. It's fucking incredible.
That's almost a Basquiat.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure like in his day, like, well, especially, when old boy was first really coming out, he probably could have got quite a few of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For cheap too.
Oh my God, yeah, especially in the lanes that he was running in. Oh boy.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Somebody probably was pawning them, bro. Let me get off. Anyway, on that note, man, it has been an honor and a privilege to build with you, bro. If you ever need anything or anything I can ever do for you, please don't hesitate to ask.
Yes, sir. Likewise. Can I put a shameless plug out there for my my social media real quick? I get my followers up. You can follow me everywhere at C Sweet Music. That's at the letter C Sweet SUITE Music. And you can follow me there. You can check out my work at csweetmusic.com. And yeah, look out for this documentary and much, much, much more. Much more.
No doubt. And don't forget to check out our sponsor, M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. Y'all already know, man. If you fuck with battle rap, those guys are it in battle rap as far as designs and clothing and growing by the millisecond. So shout out to them. Definitely an honor and a privilege to fuck with them. And on that note, man, peace to you, Mr. Michael J. Payton. And we are out of here.
All right, man. Thank you, brother.
No doubt. Thank you.